Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to a Duskmourn draft. So we are still in streamer early access, and we're on the tail end of it. And the way this works on early access generally is the first half of early access, they have drafts with, whoever wants to enter the queue. Second half is just quick draft, and that's what we're doing here. And usually I would be kind of like iffy about posting a quick draft, but I figure, it's probably even better that our first draft of the format is a draft where I get to just kind of sit and talk about the cards and talk about some of the cards I've liked, talk about some cards I haven't liked so much. So this is going to be a very draft-centric video. I really get into some nitty-gritty. In fact, I've only got an hour left before early access turns off, so we might not even get to all the games. Let's not waste any more time, though, and just jump in. So, our rare, the Swarm Weaver. I have actually had this card, and it's fantastic. Like, it reads good. It is good. It's great if you can buy it back, but it's just a 4 mana, 2/3, make 2 1/1 flyers. Sometimes they get bigger if you've got Delirium. It's an artifact creature to help you get Delirium. You can buy it back from the graveyard a few ways. This card is just absolutely phenomenal, and this set is pretty good for splashing, so even if I don't end up in exactly black-green, like say I end up in blue-green, it's a card I'm almost certainly gonna take. So we're gonna highlight that one, but let's just talk about some other cards in the pack. Sheltered by Ghosts. This card's great too. It's an enchantment, which obviously matters in this set, but the swings you get from this card, exiling something, getting in a big lifelink hit, making it hard for your creature to deal with, like you slap this on an evasive creature, and the game's over unless your opponent just has a removal spell on the spot, and it's going to cost them a little bit. So that would probably be my pick out of the pack if this Swarm Weaver wasn't here. Some other cards to note, we've got Coordinated Clobbering, which is a bite spell that you can have 2 cards team up and bite something. The downside is you have to tap the creatures. Usually on these kind of cards, you just, you don't have to tap the creatures. But of course, this is a upside sometimes if you have survival cards. I definitely noticed so far that there are some spots where your survival cards, the board stalls out a little bit. They can't really get in, but just getting 2 survival triggers when you cast this and killing something is really good. So it's a card I like. I don't think it's like premium removal for a non-survival deck, but in a survival deck, I do think it is. Some other cards, we've got Winter's Intervention, solid removal spell, Spine Seeker, Centipede, just one of those kind of cards, 3 mana, 2/1, go get a land, and is a 3/3 with Vigilance if you have Delirium. I saw the Reanimator deck do some good work yesterday, actually, so just noting this Emergence Cocoon. Killer's Mask, a card I think is totally fine too, but yeah, we're just gonna slam this Swarm Weaver and talk about more cards as we go on. I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna be able to talk about every single card, but hopefully get to the important ones. Okay, so now we get to a pack with a Insidious Fungus, and I like this card. This is a pretty good card if you're trying to get Delirium, right? Just a thing that goes to the graveyard, sacrifices itself. There are a lot of artifacts and enchantments in the set, so having access to this kind of effect is really nice. There's also Beanstalk Giant. Moldering Gym Weight Room is very close to Beanstalk Giant if you've played with that card before. And it's an enchantment and triggers your Eerie, all that kind of stuff. Really like this card. I'm actually not sure exactly if I like this card more than Insidious Fungus. I just don't have a read on that just yet. I'm going to go with the cheaper one if I'm going to take a green card here. And I do think I'm going to take a green card here. The black cards in this pack are not particularly exciting. Final Vengeance is totally okay, but these 2 creatures are kind of lackluster. Another Sheltered by Ghosts. Friendly Ghost has been a card that I've been pretty happy with. Seized by Slumber, find a removal spell. The rare is kind of weird one that I don't think you're going to play almost ever, but I also don't think it's a 0. I think this is a card that I can see playing in some decks as the format goes on. But yeah, I'm going to take Insidious Fungus. Like I said, I could see the gym being right, but gonna take the Fungus here. Okay, wow, this pack has a lot of options. So we've got a gold card here, Drag to the Roots, just a good removal spell, 4 mana, destroy anything, cost 2 if you've got Delirium. We've got House Cartographer, and this card is a card I like a lot too. 2/2 for 2, that when it survives, which is, it's tapped on your main phase 2, you get to go, not exactly look for a land, but it draws you a land from your deck. Manifest Dread. I've been talking up Manifest Dread the mechanic. I will talk up Manifest Dread the card as well. As far as Delirium goes, Manifest Dread the mechanic is really good for enabling Delirium, because when you look at the top 2, you put 1 in the grave, of course. But this is a sorcery that also goes to the graveyard. So often you cast Manifest Dread, the card, you get like halfway to Delirium just on turn 2. So definitely a card that I would take this over House Cartographer with Swarm Weaver in the pile for what it's worth. Am I going to take it over Drag to the Roots? I don't think so. I think I'm just going to take this here. It's a little bit inflexible. So if I was drafting in a bit more mature format, I might go for the slightly more flexible card, but even still, I think just taking the good removal spell here is nice. Vile Mutilator, maybe one to call out here, a card that is very good to reanimate because you don't have to pay that additional cost. But yeah, I think also just like a playable card in a slower black deck. Okay, what do we see here? So no black and or green cards that I'm thrilled about. Bashful Beastie I think is totally solid. Like I'm not sad to play this card. Dashing Bloodsucker I think is good-ish, like it's kind of good-ish as in it has the potential to deal a lot of lifelink damage, but it's also just like a 4-mana 2/5 no enter the battlefield effect, no protection. And one thing that I noticed yesterday actually is that Eerie is something I think you really have to not build around exactly, but you really have to consider in the draft because you don't just end up with a bunch of enchantments naturally. I think if you are drafting an Eerie deck or a deck with a lot of Eerie cards in it, you will end up taking like quote unquote worse cards just because they are enchantments. So that's just something to keep out an eye for. Because like the Delirium decks, for example, I think it's just mostly like, yeah, you take good cards and Delirium kind of sorts itself out. I haven't felt that way about Eerie exactly. Anyways, some other cards in this pack to talk about. Fear of Burning Live, great red card. 6 mana, 4/4, ETB, deal 4 to an opponent. But if you got Delirium, it also deals 4 to a creature your opponent controls, and any non-combat damage will also get dealt to creatures. It's just a static effect. So one of the better cards in the pack for sure. Lionheart Glimmer, I found this card to be pretty okay. Get Out, I think this card is pretty solid too. I think I might just take Fear of Burning Alive. Like I don't mind Bashful Beastie for sure, but it is kind of a replaceable card, and I could see us ending up in like a Jundish Delirium deck, maybe red-green base splashing these two cards, or just a Swarm Weaver. So yeah, I'm going to go with the high upside pick here. Okay, so now we've got another Insidious Fungus. Could definitely just take that, going to highlight that. We've got Clockwork Percussionist, and this is interesting if we do move into a red-green Delirium deck, right? Because like this is an artifact, of course, to help you get to Delirium. So I think that this is a card that I could see being good in this deck. I'm still just going to take Insidious Fungus, as I think it's kind of the safer card to take and the slightly better card, but yeah, just noting that here. We've got Smoky Lounge and Misty Salon, the gold card for the Room deck. And I haven't played against a great Room deck, or haven't played with a great Room deck myself, but I've seen definitely rumblings on Twitter, people being like, yeah, like I got like the sicko Room deck, and I know Ben from Lords Unlimited posted a pretty cool deck. So yeah, definitely something that I'm excited to explore, but definitely just going to take the Insidious Fungus here. All right, so now what do we see? We see Shroud Stomper. Man, this card, I think I lost to this card just alone. More than any other card in the set yesterday. I faced this card 3 times, and I lost to it every single time. Sometimes my opponent just cast it on turn 7. Sometimes they reanimated it, but it's just fantastic. It's a really, really strong card. The other cards in this pack are not great for us. We've got Diversion Specialist, which I think is just a red-black specific card. I don't think you're really going to want to play this anywhere else. Bashful Beastie, yeah, I think I'm just going to take this here. Ragged Playmate is, more for an aggressive deck. Although, again, we could be red-green aggressive. The artifact creature does help. But I do think Bashful Beastie is just, like, the most generically good card that I can consider playing. Obviously, Shroud Stomper's a bit better, but let's just take the Beastie. Oh, okay, so now we got some good stuff here. So, Patchwork Beastie, more Beasties. This card is really, really good for your Delirium decks. Both the aggressive versions and the slower versions. Played on turn 1, it just costs 1 mana, helps fill your Delirium. If it gets to the graveyard, it's an artifact, of course. Also some other good green cards in this pack, right? Monstrous Emergence, kind of a cool variant on a bite spell where you can bite from your hand, where, you don't have to risk your creature getting removed, and if you're on the draw and they have a really good 2-drop, you don't have to spend time playing your 2-drop first, you can kill theirs. So definitely something that I would be interested in. Another Moldering Gem Weight Room, but I do think I'm going to take the Patchwork Beastie here. All right, so Manifest Dread. Yeah, very, very happy to see that. Got a pretty good white room here in Surgical Suite, Hospital Room. But yeah, just take a good card. And then we see our wheel pack here. Wow, Sheltered by Ghosts wheels. Well, these bots I can't imagine are very tuned, so I don't think this means too much for where we should be. I'm gonna take it here because I'm not gonna play either of these cards. I don't think. I could see myself playing Fanatical Strength though. Can I see myself pivoting to a white-green deck? I mean, yeah, it's possible. So, yeah, I'm going to snap that up. I was going to say, maybe we get the other one back, too. We do. There's also a Cryptid Inspector. I was neither impressed or unimpressed by this card. It's kind of just fine. I think if you have enough things that triggers it. And we actually don't have a ton, so I'm just going to take Shelter by Ghost here. Also a land, just worth calling out. Found these 13 lands, Friday lands, I heard some people call them. Manifest Dread coming back too. Sweet. Okay, so we got a good green base going on here. I like what's happening. We'll just take a land. We'll just take a enchantment creature. That works well too. A Cycler. We could take that as another thing that fills the grave, but we are just slightly low on enchantments for Delirium. Okay, let's see what this pack has for us. So Our rare is pretty interesting, and I might actually just take it because it's a card I wanted to try out, even if this isn't the absolute best card in the pack, but we'll see. So it's a piece of graveyard hate, Ghost Vacuum here, that messes with, the Reanimator deck, an opposing Delirium deck, but also has a pretty, board impacting ability. 6 mana, sack it, you get copies of all the things you've exiled. They're just 1/1 flyers, but there's a lot of good enter the battlefield effects in this set, a lot of good death triggers, so that 6 mana ability I think is a real thing. So I'm going to highlight that here. There's another Fear of Burning Alive, and we didn't really pick up too much red as pack 1 went on, so I think that Jund Delirium idea is probably a little bit less likely to happen than I thought it might be. Then again, we didn't pick up much black past, the first few picks, so could still be on the table. There's a land here. Definitely worth considering, Bashful Beastie. But yeah, I think I am going to take this Ghost Vacuum just to see how it plays. Okay, wow, this pack. Oh man, this pack is wild. So I'm going to point out Oblivious Bookworm here. This is basically just a rare with an uncommon rarity symbol. It is just so excellent. I splashed this card yesterday in a green-black deck, I would say. Yeah, green-black deck. And it was still great, even on the splash. It loots every turn, even if you don't have a face-down permanent enter or flip up. And once you start getting the engines going, you cast your Manifest Dreads, you draw a card, you draw into more of them. It just draws you a card every single turn. So that is worth considering. There's also Murder, never a bad pickup, but these 2-drops are also excellent. Piggy Bank, 2 mana 3/2 when it dies, you make a treasure token, and it's also an artifact creature. And a Reverent Gremlin, 2 mana 2/2 menace. When a creature power 2 or less enters, you draw a card and then discard a card. So yeah, what am I taking from this pack? It's not clear. I don't actually have any fixing just yet for this Bookworm. I could also be base blue-green splash these. I think, honestly, Bookworm is just too good not to take. I think this card is just, absurdly good. Also a blue-black man in this pack, so something we can consider on the wheel. Yeah, so, really, we're just green. I think I'm going to take this black-green land here. Yeah, we're just green, and we'll figure out the rest later. We might even be multicolored. We'll see where we go. Gonna take a good land here, especially if we are kind of leaning towards splashing now. Manifest Dread, Insidious Fungus, maybe one of these wheels. Fear of Abduction, this is a card I haven't played yet, but I'm curious to see how it plays. Kind of an interesting variant on the exile thing when this comes in and then it comes back when it leaves. You have to exile one of your own things too, so you can, maybe exile something with the good enter the battlefield effect or something. So yeah, just gonna take this land, and we'll see where we go from there. Oh, another. So here's the other thing about blue-green. It gets 2 Busted Signposts. Growing Dread, also fantastic. Not as good, for sure. Not as good as Oblivious Bookworm, but really, really strong. So I do think I'm going to take this here. Violent Urge, really great card for the Delirium aggro deck. Red-green aggro. Glassworks Shatteryard. This card is, just a red removal spell, but plays into the room synergies kind of things, and of course, enchantment synergies. But yeah, let's take this Growing Dread and see how many awesome blue-green cards we can pick up. Okay, so we've got another drag to the roots, and I'm going to highlight that. There's also Underwater Tunnel / Slimy Aquarium. This card's been pretty solid. Just 1 mana Surveil 2, and you can Manifest Dread to make a kind of like a 3/3 Manifest Dread for 4 mana. I think I am going to probably see additional copies of this, so I'm not super high on taking it here. I also don't want to splash too many cards in my blue-green deck if that's where we end up. But I think I'm just going to take a drag here because I could see us kind of pivoting back to black-green base. I don't think, by no means am I locking into this blue-green base here. I am going to take these white cards and probably this red card away just to clean things up a little bit. Okay, what do we have here? We've got a Coordinated Clobbering. We've got another Manifest Dread. We've got a Vile Mutilator, which we talked about a few minutes ago. One of the things about Manifest Dread is that a lot of non-creatures manifest dread. Let me rephrase this. One of the things about the mechanic Manifest Dread is that a lot of non-creatures do Manifest Dread. And so one of the tensions in deck building is, while Manifest Dread is really strong, you can't just fill your entire deck with it, or else, they're just going to be 2/2s. You do want some of them to, flip up and be a giant creature. So they do kind of have diminishing returns in some ways. So I think I'm just going to take this Coordinated Clubbing here instead, especially because if we do end up blue-green, just blue-green, maybe splashing 1 card, I'm going to lose these 2 drag from the root. So I do want to pick up some green removal if I can. Now I finally take Moldering Gym Weight Room. Good place to take this. Also really helps because we are splashing now, most likely. Ooh, I like this one too. Defiant Survivor, 3 mana, 3/2. It Manifest Dread if it is tapped main phase 2. It works really well with the Coordinated Clobbering we just picked up. So yeah, gonna take that. Oh, there's also a Cautious Survivor here. I found this card to be okay. Razorkin Horde Caller. This card is nasty. This is basically Éomer from Lord of the Rings. Very, very, very strong card. But we're just going to take a solid green card here. And then we got a red-green land that we are no longer going to use anymore. I got excited for a second. I'm like, oh, red-green land wheel. But no, we're actually not going to be doing that anymore. Cathartic Parting is a fine enchantment / artifact removal spell. I think that these are totally main deckable in this set. Obviously, we don't need it that badly with 2 Insidious Funguses, so I think I'm just going to take a Bashful Beastie, especially because I did mention I do want some big things to manifest Dread into. And what do we see here? We've got, some kind of filler playables here. Haunted Screen, actually, that might be what I take here. Just like a mana fixer that can become a threat and is an artifact for our cards that care about that. Yeah, definitely just going to take Haunted Screen. Really cool card, too, by the way, if you haven't seen it. It's a black and white TV that you pay a little bit of life and get some colors. Okay, now we're in Insidious Fungus Wheels. I think I'm fine just taking another one of these. Also, Found Footage, a card you could play in these Delirium decks, but yeah, we'll just take another one of those. I'll take a Land Cycler here. Yeah, take a Land Cycler in case we end up base blue-green. All right, so what do we see in this pack? Ooh, we see another Oblivious Bookworm. Okay, so that probably locks me into base blue-green. This Stick Twister is a card I like a lot, too. 2-mana, 2/2, lifelink, artifact creature. I always have to mention that, of course, for Delirium purposes. And when you have Delirium, they either discard a card, or they sacrifice an all-land permanent, or this thing deals 2 damage to them. And of course, you gain the life too, because this is actually dealing the damage. So kind of a little twist on this kind of like Punisher effect that we see from time to time on just like a 2/2 lifelink. That's pretty good. But definitely just gonna slam the Oblivious Bookworm here. Okay, gonna take a blue-green land. Yeah, we do want some fixing. Innocuous Rats, a thing that manifests Dread. Fear of Failed Tests, a card that I think is not great. I saw this in the battlefield a few times yesterday, and I just wasn't too impressed. It just never really connected. Maybe people didn't have it in the right shell exactly, but not a card I was super into. Oh man, Under the Skin. Under the Skin is a wildly good card. So this is like, Eternal Witness basically, but you manifest Dread. Can't get back spells, I suppose. But yeah, it's exactly what we want. Perfect. Great. Okay, so now we just take a Monstrous Emergence. That's totally fine. I'm not going to go through too many cards here anymore, just because I think we kind of are locking into what we're doing. Oh, wow. Another great card for this deck. Paranormal Analyst. 2-mana, 1/3. Whenever you manifest Dread, you put whatever card you didn't manifest into your hand, so you just draw it. So, yeah, going to nab that. And, a few playable cards here, too. Meat Locker is a card I found to be okay. But, yeah, we're just getting hooked up at this point now. All right, there's an Underwater Tunnel. So, yeah, another manifest card. And, yeah, another manifest card. Curse Wingbreaker. So, yeah, we're full on manifesting. Oh, and Terramorphic Expanse is so perfect here. So we kind of moved away from the Delirium theme a little bit. We just have one, or I guess 2 cards, 3 cards if you want to count these ones, and we may or may not splash. But if you are heavy Delirium, Terramorphic Expanse, you should just take the first one pretty darn highly, especially because you do end up splashing these decks quite a bit. But just getting a land in the grave is great. And of course, we want it here for our splashing purposes. I'm not exactly sure how many of these black cards I'm going to play, but at least the Swarm Weaver for sure. Here's Glimmer Burst. I think this card's pretty solid. I've been pretty happy with this one, so we'll take that. Put it in the pile. Put it in the sideboard, but I could see playing it. We'll see where we end up. All right, and then some just kind of filler cards, whatever. Nothing too important. Not worth talking about, to be honest. And yeah, let's see how we build this deck, because there's a lot of interesting things we could do. Okay, so we know we're blue-green base for sure. And I'm going to take these black cards out just for now. I'm just going to see some cards that we may want to cut. This Long Neck is not a great card. I think it's playable certainly, but especially because we only have these Delirium cards, I don't feel compelled to play an enchantment just to get Delirium. I think we're going to get there on the other card types: Instant Sorcery, Creature, Land, Artifact. And yeah, I do want to keep these big things just to have ways to close out the game. I think that is kind of important. That's one of blue-green's problems a little bit, is sometimes it can't have a few problems here or there actually winning the game. So yeah, gonna bring in and by the way, nothing I feel is like, okay, I need to cut this. Everything else here seems pretty reasonable. So gonna bring in this Swarm Weaver. And am I going to bring in the Drag? So we've got 1, 2, 3, and then the Gym, 4 pieces of fixing. And we are going to play Swamp, so we're going to have 5 black sources in the deck. Yeah, I think I cut one of these fungi, I suppose, and bring in one of the Drags. I don't think I want to play another one, because 3 cards on 5 sources is pushing it just a little bit. So, yeah, let's just ship this and see how many games we can get in. Like I said, not going to be able to get in all of the games most likely, but I'll try to play as many as we can. Okay, here we go. Yeah, nice hand. Got our colors, got our Growing Dread as most likely the first card we play. Cool new game board too, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Got some interactable elements here. The TVs turn on and off. Can turn off these candles, this little lamp thing. Ooh, okay, so they've got the Stake Twister here. Pretty strong card. So I'll just flash in our Growing Dread, see what we see. And we see, yeah, a Beastie and a Analyst, huh? So, which one do we want here? I mean, Beastie is large. Analyst is going to draw us quite a few cards in this hand. I think I just take the Analyst, because that we have a pretty good thing to do on turn 5 already with another Beastie. Okay, so now what to do? I guess I can attack. I could also just pass and flip this up and eat this. I think we attack, and if they block, great, we get them. If not, we just play the Windbreaker. I doubt they're going to block with this thing. It doesn't make... Oh, they do! They do. What? No, they don't. Okay. I was going to say, it doesn't make that much sense to block the Lifelinker. Okay, so now let's just Manifest Dread and Coordinated Clobbering, because this thing is pretty annoying, I will say. Okay. One little thing, actually that I encountered yesterday is... Do be careful when you are splashing. Like, say you have an island in your deck, and it's your only island, you've got some Terramorphic Expanses. If you see that island... Okay, they killed my thing. If you see that island from your Terramorphic Expanse, and you, like, from your Manifest Dread, you gotta put it in the grave, or put it on the battlefield, so you can no longer fetch it. So, do prioritize fetching your land when you can. Okay, so what do we do here? We can play the screen, and then flip this up. I guess we just play the Windbreaker, though. Playing the screen would let me... Ooh, nice. Would let me play the Beastie next turn. And I guess we do flip this up for an extra point of toughness and power. Enduring Tenacity. So this is basically just a 4-mana, 4/3 vanilla. There's not too much life gain in this set. There's some here and there for sure, but not a ton. I can also sack this to kill it if I want to. But what do we do here? I think we just flip the Bookworm and play the Haunted Scream. We're going to draw a card, of course, from this Bookworm. Let's just get in. Yeah, play Haunted Scream. Yeah, draw a card. Like, yeah, this card. I'm telling you, this card is nuts. It's funny, I say there's not that much life gain, but also the other two cards they've played have gained life, so... Who knows? Maybe we're about to get combat out with this thing. Yep, they get in for 4. All right, and nothing. All right, we draw our drag. So, yeah, let's just get in. No reason not to here. And I just play the Beastie, play the Fungus, I think, is what I'm going to do. They clearly have something going on here. They're not just going to pass the turn on turn 5, do nothing. There are a few counterspells in the set. And I almost wonder if I should just Fungus here. And leave up Drag. Just to not walk into a counterspell. I think it's fine to walk into a counterspell here. Like, if this gets countered, so be it. Glimmer Burst. Okay, not a counterspell. Draw 2, make an enchantment. Yeah, and play the Fungus. Sweet. Yeah, we get the loot here. Might have been worth keeping the Fungus just to pitch it to be able to loot it away, but Unwilling Vessel. This is a 3-mana 3/2 Vigilance with Eerie. Put a counter on it, and when this thing dies, they make a spirit equal to the number of Eerie counters. All right, and then they have a Underwater Tunnel here. Yeah, triggering all the stuff. I lose a life. They put a counter here. Okay, drew a land. So, yeah, we could play that land still, because then the Haunted Screen can become a 7/7, which is something interesting. I think I am going to get in with the Bookworm and the Beastie. And just go from there. We're going to get to Manifest. We're going to have to draw a card. All great things happening. Okay, they just jump, so never mind. And yeah, I do think I play this land. I do think I want the option to make this a 7/7. All right, drill land anyways. Because this prevents them from tapping out, basically, unless they have a removal spell. Because if they tap out, I just make this a 7/7 and send it to the air with the Windbreaker. All right, they manifest Dread, and yeah, it looks like dead to me. So activate this, and put the Windbreaker over here. Yeah, okay, so pretty straightforward first game, but yeah, good showcase, I think, of especially the Bookworm, just drawing us a bunch of cards. All right, so we've got definitely a keepable hand. Got turn 1 play. That, I, of course, need to play my land first to be able to cast it. Also, Monstrous Emergence plays pretty well with this thing. Fear of Lost Teeth. Okay, so 1 mana, 1/1, enchantment creature. When it dies, it deals a damage to something. All right, draw a blue source. And I don't think I really want to kill this thing. So we'll just play the tunnel. Surreal 2. Don't want the land. Do want Under the Skin, I think. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Pass turn. Ooh, Brood Spinner. This is a nice one. 2 mana, 2/3 reach when it ETBs Surveil 2, and then they can sack it, pay 6 mana to get a bunch of 1/1 flyers, equal number of card types in their grave. Yeah, this is one that I could definitely see myself using a removal spell on. Obviously, don't need to do it right now because it's going to take a while before they can activate it, but one to maybe save a removal spell for. Okay, so I'm not going to mill that. Just going to play my Haunted Screen. That's the turn. Say its name. Yeah, mill 3. I get to return to permanent. Or sorry, a land or a creature specifically. And it has the Altanac text here, where it's like, yeah, if you exile 3 of them from your graveyard, you get to summon the 9/9 if they have that. Very cool card. Definitely just going to be mostly a 2 mana mill 3 selection delirium thing. But I have seen, actually, I've seen a screenshot already of somebody doing this on turn 2. Like, they literally had the 9/9 in play on turn 2, which is kind of sweet. Okay, we mill our Analyst. Ooh, we draw our Bookworm. Yeah, that was a nice one. So, let's go Bookworm, tap land, and I think just kill this Brood Spinner here now. No, I don't want to do that. Yes, there we go. Thank you, MTGA. By the way, they also milled a Resurrected Cultist, which they can bring back. They're pretty close to Delirium. Okay, so I've got 3 cards worth of Delirium. Creature, sorcery, land. I could pitch this and now have enchantment and then buy it back with Under the Skin. Yeah, that's nice. Let's do that. Innocuous Rat. 2 mana, 1/1 when it dies, manifest, and same thing. Okay, cool. I will mill. Give myself a little more selection. All right, manifest Dread. Nice. So let's do this. Just go Under the Skin. Manifest Fungus. Put an instant in the yard, which is nice now, because now that I pick up I'll be picking up a spell here. Enchantment. I still have the Delirium, because we put an instant in the grave. Oh, I guess I could have tapped slightly better here, eh? Yeah, it's pay a life now. All right. Not a huge deal, but... Yes, I will manifest that thing. And pass the turn, draw a card. Doing a bunch of good things. All right, that was too much for them, apparently. I just did too many good things. They couldn't overcome it. All right, ooh, no green mana, but a hell of a hand. And we've got quite a few green sources, so gonna keep this. I think if I didn't have a castable turn 2 play, I would not keep this hand, but the hand's so good if we do get to find that green source. All right, we draw Underwater Tunnel as well. Helps us find it. Cycle, sure. All right, do we hit? We hit. Wow, so lucky. Okay, so let us tunnel. Yeah, and I like both of these. I think I keep both of these and just cast Manifest Dread this turn. And manifest this thing, draw this one. Or manifesting this is kind of interesting, just like flipping it next turn. They probably block it if they have anything to block with, though, so probably just slightly more reliable to get the big thing into play and draw this one. Yeah, I'm getting it for a point. All right, well, they didn't have anything, so I would have gotten a free manifest. And they bin some stuff. Okay, draw a land. All right, so we go attacking. And I think I play the Bookworm here, just so we can make sure we hit another green source, because we're really just choked on green at this point. So let's make sure we do that. Pretty happy to pitch this fungus at this point, I think. Do I want an island over fungus? I probably don't. Like, it means I can cast Beastie next turn for sure, but fungus does have some value and be able to nab some nasty artifact or enchantment. All right, they kill my thing. Another removal spell for this? No? All right, Monstrous Emergence, sure. Okay, so let's get in. They do have another removal spell for this. Okay, drag, sure. All right, let's just manifest. Sure. Nice little 1 mana to flip this thing up. That's kind of cool. Can't stack with it just yet, but... Oh, wait, it's all right. I can. I do have Delirium. Nice. Ooh, speaking of Delirium. Okay, so now let's just get this thing out of the way with the Monstrous Emergence. Although I guess I'm not casting anything else this turn if I do that, so maybe it's just better to fungus. Yeah, it's just better to fungus and kill this thing. I guess I should show you what it is. 5 mana 5/5. Gets Menace and Death Touch if I don't control a Glimmer, which is a creature type. The enchantment tokens are Glimmers. There's that cycle of rares that come back as enchantments. Those are all Glimmers. Coordinator Clobber, sure. Ooh, gain 2 life. It's pretty nice for them. All right, so... yeah, just get in. Let's cast the 5 mana card here. Yep, say the same. Get to return. What do they return? Probably this thing? Yeah, I would imagine just like a large creature. Yep, 5 mana creature. They get in. I'm happy to trade here. Yeah, I manifest. They don't gain 2 life from this thing. Yeah, sure. Yeah, and they play a 5-drop. That makes sense. Okay, so now what? I could flip and get in. I think that's fine. I think just like trade off some stuff and keep the board clear. Yep, sure. Patrick Beastie, sure. All right, draw a land. So now we can cast Emergence on this thing. Real creature card. This creature card. Yeah, all right, get in there. Cast Swarm Weaver. Okay, I didn't even have to cast my Swarm Weaver. Great. Sweet, yeah. All right, so I hope you enjoyed. Unfortunately, the arena just kicks me out of the draft event, so I can't even show you what the deck looks like and do a little bit of a debrief. But hope this was a nice little experience. Let me know if you minded the quick draft aspect of it. Maybe you liked the quick draft aspect of it. But yeah, so far, as always at the beginning of this set, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm very rarely the type of person who's like, this set's just not clicking with me. The first few 10 drafts or so, I'm like, yeah, this set's great. We'll see how it goes. I'm personally really liking it. I have good vibes about the set. I've seen a lot of other people say good things about it so far. It hasn't really been too many red flags that might be raised. I think the format's a good speed. I think the balance is pretty good. The cards just are pretty fun. So yeah, come join us next week. And of course, be giving you a bunch more content when the set actually comes out. Good luck with your pre-releases if you're going to those this weekend. Do comment and like and subscribe and all that if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. It really does help out at no cost to yourself. Just a click. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.